Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm going to make a alcohol stove from scratch out of a Coke can, and I'm going to show you how you did it. That way you guys can tell me some advice, what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put my marks around the can, and no, we're not using a black marker. So I'm going to mark the top piece, I'll say right about there, and yes, I'm winging it, so bear with me. Around it and mark our top piece. Then we're going to come down here and mark the bottom piece. Now I'm not too sure of the distance on this yet, so I'm still experimenting. But it's not that big a deal. I've got a case of Coke Zero and all night. Alright, now I'm going to use a can opener to cut the top off of it. And it does put just, this one didn't put a lip on it at all, my other one did. So alright, we're going to remove the top somehow. Now, second thing I'm going to do is use a pair of scissors and cut along this line. And if you did notice, I washed all the syrup out of the can. So I should be using a pair of side snips for this project, but I am not going to be able to make it to the store because I'm pretty much snowed in today. So we're going to simply cut the top piece out and try to make it as square as possible without cutting myself. Actually, that came out not too bad. I'm going to trim it up a little. As you can see, I kind of got off the line a touch bit. Okay, now we got it pretty much squared up. There we go. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut. This was suggested to me by Rainbow Hiker. He's kind of an expert at this, at these stoves. We're going to cut. Hang on a second. If I give you that, are you going to be quiet? Alright. Here. That's Scout. He's trying to get in on the action here. We're going to cut a bunch of small little grooves here around the bottom of the top piece. That way it fits into the bottom piece, and also bend these in a little bit will actually heat up the alcohol a lot quicker and bring it to a boil. That way making a stove somewhat more efficient. So let's cut these in there. Now we got all of them cut. I'm just going to simply just kind of bend them all in a little bit. Okay, we got all those kind of pretty much bent in. Now remember, this is my probably about 4th attempt at this project, so I am no means an expert at all. Okay, something like that. Now we're going to take our hole punch and pop all the holes in the top. And I'm going to do it right here on this rib. I'm not quite sure how many holes you need, so just kind of winging it right now. Okay, now we got all our holes in there. The top piece is now completed. So let's move on to the bottom piece. And we need to cut along this line right here. to trim it up a little bit and try to even it out as much as possible. Yes, I know it's a little messy, but I think when I get some side snips, the cut will be much better. Okay, here comes the very fun part, and I found out in doing this, you need a lot of patience. We're going to take the top piece and compress it into the bottom piece, and that's where the patience come in. Okay, now that it's in there, and it looks like something like that. I think the bottom piece might be a little too big, but not too bad. There we go. We just put together an alcohol stove. Now for the, I really think I need to trim that some more. Oh well, let's wing it. Let's go outside and see how well it performs. Okay, I got my little test area set up, and we're going to be using 91 proof alcohol because I do not have access to denatured alcohol. Let's throw a little in there. Now the trick to this is to heat up the alcohol until it comes up to a boil. And if you can remember, we are out in the cold, and I said extreme cold, so this will take a couple of minutes, and it is windy. Here we go. I want to show you a couple of my other stove designs real quick while we're heating that up. This is the second one I made, and it actually turned into a great simmer stove. I like that. That's a single wall. And this is the first one I made, and actually worked a lot better than I expected, but I made it a little bit smaller, and it could not hold as much alcohol. So I think we're almost to a boil here. Oh, another thing that alcohol does is it kind of leaves a little bit of a film on the bottom of your canteen or cup, so we're going to throw that on there. Okay, there's been a look at my first stove design, and it is 19 degrees out, and the water has come up quite a bit, but I'm not getting a boil, and it doesn't help that I don't have a windscreen, but it is pretty darn warm. Yeah, I probably shouldn't do that. The handle's not bad. So here's a look at the stove again.